I'm joined by a very special guest, semi-professional football player, TikTok superstar, Braden Leigh. He's a graduate of the Remote Sales Institute. He's now an appointment setter working for a very prestigious accounting firm company.
My first month, I did 125% of my KPI for the month, which I wouldn't have done if I hadn't have got the training in the first place.
What could an appointment setter earn? And then what are some of the guys who are further along the pathway on your team? What are they earning?
As an SDR, you're looking at 70 plus, all the way to probably 100, I reckon. And then the AEs are 150, 200 in that ballpark. So pretty lucrative compared to other jobs that I've done before, where back in the day as a landscaper digging holes for 21 an hour, compared to that, pretty good. Before jumping into this, I was the sort of guy that I'd be like to my missus, can you call the restaurant to say we're going to book in? Like, I hated making phone calls. If you're looking into it and you're scared and having all those sorts of doubts and thoughts, don't wait an extra 6 months. Just do it, because you won't regret it.
Welcome to the Remote Sales Podcast, the show that helps you crush a career in remote high-ticket sales. I'm Kris, Cochrane, founder of Remote Sales Institute, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, semi-professional football player, TikTok superstar. His name is Braden Leigh. He's a graduate of the Remote Sales Institute. He's now an appointment setter working for a very prestigious accounting firm company. And Braden, welcome to the show.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. I wouldn't say TikTok superstar, but yeah, appreciate it.
What are we talking here, mate? We're talking 40,000. How many followers are you up to now?
Yeah, 40 odd thousand at the moment. Been stuck there for a little while, so need to keep climbing.
That's it, mate. That's it. Well, listen, it's funny when you compare yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy. For many people, they'd see 40,000 as the Mecca, the Holy Grail. I mean, I'm sitting at 2,000 currently on TikTok. So I look at 40,000, I'm going, man, how do I get myself to 40,000? But you're probably looking at people with 1 million followers and going, I'm not working hard enough.
Mate, the content you've been putting lately, you deserve more. That's top grade stuff, mate. Lately, it's been good.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. For my 2,000 followers, I thank you for your eyeballs. But let's chat about your story. Really, today I wanted to dig into a bit about the background, what you were doing before remote sales, because right now you're living your dream. You've achieved the goal that you really set out to achieve, and it's an inspiring story. So maybe just for the people who are listening, maybe give us a quick insight into what are you doing now? What does a day in the life look like? You're an appointment setter. Talk us through the type of company you're working with, and then we'll go back to the start.
Yep, so I'm currently an appointment setter for Toa Global, so the outsourced accountant. So what we do is essentially we have offices in the Philippines, and we place accountants from the Philippines into accounting firms in Australia and New Zealand. So we work with 30 of the top 100, and it's quite a large company, so quite a large operation that they run over there. So it's been pretty good working with them, working under some great sales people there, learning off a heap of people there as well. So it's been a great day in the life, pretty much. Start at 8:30, so most days is an 8 o'clock wake up, which most people would probably love, I guess, because there's no commute, there's no having to go anywhere. It's from my bedroom, which is next door, to the office. So that's the longest commute that I have. And then, making phone calls throughout the day, connecting with accounting firms, directors, partners, and seeing if they kind of qualify and if they need our solution.
Awesome. And so we met nearly 12 months ago. I'm going to take a stab. It's around about 12 months ago.
Pretty much almost, on the day almost.
You're a pro footy player. I believe you'd moved up from Sydney. You're in Queensland. You moved up from somewhere, and you're trying to make it in footy, and you decided the best role that fits in with your lifestyle of a traveling kind of semi-professional football player was to get into remote closing, remote sales, but you were struggling to break in. Talk us through life before today. What was happening around about that time, and really what was not working about your situation that got you thinking about getting into remote sales?
Yeah, well, I moved up from Sydney to Queensland for rugby league, trying to crack top grade. I'm still trying to do that now. But we train 4 nights a week from 5 o'clock onwards. So obviously a lot of full-time work doesn't suit that. And also, as you said, moving, it can happen every year really. In sport, you can be moving from anywhere around the country really. So having a job that's sort of based in a certain location is pretty tough. Every time you move, you're looking to change jobs, moving. It just makes it a whole lot tougher to have a job where you have to be in the one spot. So when I started looking for more of a career, obviously remote was a really big thing for me. Being able to, if I sign somewhere and I move to a different club, I don't have to do the whole changing teams again and changing jobs. It's just stay in the job and do it from the next home office. So remote was really big for me. And then, I was really struggling to crack it. I don't have a heap of experience. I did have a little bit of, sales experience being a manager at a gym when I was a bit younger. But outside of that, there was really no experience. So applying on Seek, I applied for probably 50, 60 jobs and maybe got 3 or 4 interviews. So it was really hard. It was really bit crushing because you're applying, you're trying really hard, but you just can't crack it because, I remember my last interview that I had, and it was the reason that I started looking into training more was because it was a bunch of fellas that were all athletes beforehand, and they said, mate, you're the exact culture fit that we want, but the fella that beat you just has the experience that we're looking for. So obviously that was where I kind of, realized that I needed to do more in terms of I can't just throw in some applications, like they say on TikTok, throw in some applications and you'll get a job. You actually need to kind of get a bit of experience and do a bit of work behind the scenes to be able to thrive on the stage.
Yeah, and I think it's a common theme for a lot of people who are getting into, who are finding out about remote sales is it sounds great, but then how do I take that next step? For you, because you were working in a gym, what were you doing with work before sort of diving into this environment, this whole world of remote closing?
Yeah, well, I was working as a personal trainer in a gym at the beginning. That was back in Sydney, and then moved up to a manager there as well at that same gym. And then when I moved to Queensland, I kept doing the same thing, F45 gym trainer. And then obviously doing TikTok, I kind of got pretty good at marketing and creating content. So I met with you in September of last year and was pretty much presented with 2 options. I either go with you and go down the remote sales route, or a local gym offered me a marketing job, safe job, stable income, normal hours. And I was literally pick one of 2 ways, and I ended up going the route of doing the marketing job because I was fearful of taking the leap. And it took me 6 months to realize that I hated it and that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I was doing marketing for a local gym for about 6 months before I took the leap. Yeah.
Right. Got it. Because, we had a chat. It was a yes, but, you were a bit fearful of making an investment. You weren't, because obviously, as an athlete, to get to where you want to be as an athlete, you got to find the right coach. So you were exploring the coaching side of things, working with a coach to kind of help you make the transition because you'd found it was pretty tough going out there without a coach. Yep. And again, just why besides just being remote, why this type of remote career? What was appealing to you about remote sales? How did you first find out about it, by the way? And what was really appealing to you about the idea of this career?
Yeah, well, I think I first found out about it through just searching some remote careers. And I was kind of at a point in my life where I'd been doing a couple of jobs, but I was getting a bit older and I wanted to try and find something that I actually wanted to do as a career. So I did a bit of research, found some remote stuff. And I think the thing that most stood out to me about sales in particular was I kind of looked internally at what I liked about my previous jobs. So being a PT, even in the gym, the thing that I enjoyed the most was talking to people and connecting with people. I did a couple of trades real early on just after I left school, and I didn't like that because I was just by myself all day. I really enjoyed connecting with people and talking to people. So that was one big thing, was that, sales is pretty much you're talking to people all day long. Yeah, flat out just on the phone. So that was kind of one thing. And then the other part of it was just something that really stuck out to me was that working a normal job, you can work next to someone, have the same job, have the same role. You put in 120%, they put in 80%, and you get paid the same as them. And I didn't really like that. I prefer something where if I work harder and I'm better at something, then I can be paid more. So, you're kind of in control of your earnings. It's not just, turn up at 8, leave at 4, do what you can, and you get paid the same as old mate next year. You're getting paid based on how you perform. So I think coming from that athlete of performance-based, I think the fact that it is performance-based really stood out to me. So probably those 2 or 3 things: remote, talking to people, and also that it was kind of I'm in control of my earnings.
And you made the decision that, hey, I'm going to go after this. It fits in your lifestyle. You are, looking to play professional sports. Very hard for you to do that whilst working a job 9 to 5 and being stuck in a geographical location. Talk us through the process you went through before, I guess, getting help. This is what we hear a lot. People, just applying for roles, seeing how they go, making applications. What was the process you went through, and what were some of the challenges you faced?
Like as I said, just, taking it semi-serious and being like, I'll apply to a couple of jobs, see how I go. And I think you mentioned it when we were speaking, is that even if I was to get one of those jobs, I wouldn't have went any good anyway, because I didn't know what I was doing. So the fact that I got training, got help, also prepared me so that when I did get into the job, my first month with TOA, I did 125% of my KPI for the month in the first month, which I wouldn't have done if I hadn't have got the training in the first place. So regardless of whether or not you're not going to do it, but if you go on Seek and you try and apply for a job with no experience or little experience, even if you do get one, you need to know what you're doing once you actually get the job as well, so that you can succeed and get the commissions. It's not about just getting your foot in the door. It's also about when you do get your foot in the door, you need to perform. So that was probably the biggest thing for me, was that realization of, I can just apply for jobs, hopefully get one, but even if I do get one, am I going to be able to perform? Yeah,
it's so true. Sometimes you can fluke it. You can fluke getting a role. You can blitz the interview. You can build a connection with whoever is on the other side of the Zoom call. At the end of the day, you need to perform and you need to make money. And so you need to know the process. And I remember from your perspective, when you jumped in, you made that decision to hop into some training, to get some help, to do it. It was like new levels were unlocked for you. It was levels you didn't realize that were possible. You dove 2 feet in, and I think just getting some training, you had potential, but I remember you just went to another level with extra training.
It's it's one of those things where you learn a little bit, and you can get so much better by just getting a little bit of information. Just getting that little bit better, it actually equates to such a large improvement in your performance and how you actually go. So just that initial bit of training, and then coming into the calls and seeing everyone else, and you're like, I've got a long way to go here. Like, I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah, and it's for an athlete, for someone who plays sports, not an uncommon feeling. Getting to training and realizing, hey, I'm not the big dog anymore. I've got work to do, but it's inspiring. It also levels. You're the type of person, and as most people who invest in training, you're the type of people who that inspires you. That makes you want to work harder. Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. Seeing those people in there and seeing what they started in the same spot that I was in. It's not like I'm coming into a group where everyone was pros when they were born. Like, they were all in the same spot that I was in, and now they're in that spot, which means there's no reason why I can't either. So it's inspiring to go in and see those people doing that.
Let's talk about what you're doing now and getting the role. So you landed a really decent role with, we would class one of a really powerful entrepreneur, a huge business, really awesome business to land a role with. What is the, I guess, what are the we spoke about the day-to-day, but how was that process of landing a role? What was the first few weeks like? What was the onboarding process and the learning process? How did that go? And where are we heading? What's the trajectory?
Yeah, it was awesome to land that role. Like, that was probably the biggest thing that I was concerned about when I jumped in, was that, is anyone going to want to hire me? Is anyone going to, want me to actually work for them? A bit of imposter syndrome, I reckon. So landing that role, and then later learning, how big and how powerful Nick is, to work directly with someone like that was honestly like a privilege. And then the first few weeks was awesome. They've got such a good process over there, such a refined process. Really good people that work under Nick in the sales team. Cody, Sean, Jen, they all work in the sales team, and they've been awesome with me, taking me in as well. Taking me under the wing and sort of teaching me a ton, not only about sales, but also more in particular what we do. It's quite unique what we do. It's really like hard to explain to people, talent solutions. But yeah, it's been awesome to work under them and learn sort of what we actually do, and then be able to take the leap and actually start making phone calls last month. The onboarding process was quite extensive. It was quite long. It was probably about a month's time to get me really ramped up and learning, before they threw me out into the field and let me do my thing. So it was awesome. Yeah, they taught me so much, and now I'm being able to perform.
So what is it that you're selling first, in a nutshell? Try to give me explain it like I'm 5.
Yeah.
And yeah, what types of customers are you serving, and what are you actually selling? What problems are you solving?
Yeah, it's quite a hard one to describe, but essentially we provide staff to accounting firms. So our offices are in the Philippines, and the main reasons for them wanting to bring those staff on is it's a lot cheaper. It helps with their growth plans. If they're under a lot of workload and they're struggling, there is quite a decline in accountants onshore in Australia and New Zealand now. So it is a lot harder for them to fill those roles. And we get, I think it's more than 3,000 applications a month to work for us. So we have a ton of them, and they are struggling to find them. And as I said, it's a lot cheaper. So that's sort of our solution, is they work remotely from the Philippines for accounting firms and bookkeeping firms. Even we work with all sorts of businesses. All sorts of businesses need accounting and bookkeeping, but mainly those accounting and bookkeeping firms. And I'm spending my day speaking to the partners, the principals, the owners. So people that are, pretty high up, they earn a lot of money. They don't have a lot of time. So it does make it tough at times, because you are talking to, you're getting a lot of no-shows to calls, a lot of no answers, because they're flat stick, which is fair enough. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I do. And we provide that solution of taking on accountants so that they can work remotely and save some cash and have some good workers.
Awesome. So it's more of an agency service. You either recruit for the business owners, so you're working with accounting firms in Australia who need staff, and you're helping them put bums on seats so that they can get, do more work for their clients.
Yep.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, yeah, pretty much.
And your role, what's your job title?
So I'm sales development representative, so SDR. So my day is pretty much, I call up people that have shown interest in what we do, whether that's downloading one of our guides or resources, been to an event. We do a lot of events. So our account executives go to a ton of events. So we meet a lot of people there, and they show interest there. So it's mainly with people that have shown interest in what we actually do, which makes it obviously a lot easier. But calling up those people, sending emails, a little bit of LinkedIn setting as well. So it's sort of across the whole range. It's not just on the phone. It's also in LinkedIn, a bit of emails as well. And then mainly that warmer sort of customer or client that have shown a little bit of interest, and a little bit of cold stuff as well.
And then your role within the sales team is lead generation and lead qualification.
Yep.
And how many steps is there for you to kind of take a person from interested to qualified, and then moving it on to the AE team, so the account executive team, who are, I guess, in charge of closing that deal? Yeah,
so it's pretty much just me calling up, building a bit of rapport, seeing if they have that need in the first place and if they would qualify. As I said, it's pretty unique what we do. It doesn't suit everybody, so it's pretty much on the phone. The AEs are always very busy, so making sure that if I'm taking up some of their time with somebody, that they're going to be the right fit. So pretty much building that rapport and seeing if they would be a fit and if there is that need. And then, as the title says, booking that appointment, setting the appointment for the AEs, and working from there. And there's quite a process in the sales process, because it is complicated. It's not straightforward as selling a product. It's organising a lot of different things. So there is quite a few steps. But in terms of my role is pretty much taking them from being interested to booking them in to an appointment and getting them that little bit more interested, and then leaving it to the AA team.
What do you love about the role? What are you enjoying about this when you compare it to what you've done in the past?
Well, the freedom of being able to work from home is an easy one. Don't have to wake up at crazy hours and do an hour commute. I know back in Sydney, the commutes were, an hour and a half to work when I was doing trades, so it was quite extensive. And now there's no commute at all. So spending that extra time at home. Me and my partner have been able to drop down to one car. We were able to get rid of a car because we just didn't have a need for it anymore. Spend the time at home with the dog. I live with my brother, so I get to spend some time with him as well, which is invaluable, I guess, at this stage of life. And then, just the support that I get from the team that I've been put in, which is obviously connected through you guys. So without you guys, that was not going to happen. Just the freedom of it all, just being able to do it from home, still having that connection with the team and learning from the team. And then obviously there's a financial incentive as well, which is pretty good also.
For sure. And are you maybe just in a ballpark sense? You don't have to be specific, but what could an appointment setter or an SDR, what can they earn? And then what are some of the guys in the AE who are further along the pathway on your team? What are they earning?
As an SDR, you're looking at 70 plus, all the way to probably 100, I reckon, in that sort of ballpark. And then, the AEs are 150, 200, I reckon they'd be in that ballpark. So it's definitely something that's pretty lucrative. For the role that you're in, it seems like you're doing less than what you're earning compared to other jobs that I've done before, where back in the day as a landscaper digging holes for 21 an hour, compared to that, it's pretty good.
It's very good. It's very good cash. The appointment setter gets I guess it's the entry level, because everyone wants to come in and earn 40K a month. They hear the big numbers.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you are, you're a young guy, you are working, you need to work remotely, earning 70 to 100K, learning and on that career trajectory of earning multiple six figures, that's a pretty damn good income, and that's a pretty good career trajectory that you're on. Yeah,
I think knowing that that's in the future, that can be in the future, it's in my hands if I want to, keep getting better, that's possible. I think knowing that is possible is something that's huge, because even though you're still earning awesome money now, but knowing that that's in the future and that's what you can work towards, that's what keeps you going.
Mate, I remember from memory, one of the blockers was your from coming on and starting was actually your partner was sort of not so keen. How does she feel? How does she feel now that you jumped in? Has there been a bit of a change?
Yeah, look, at that time when I spoke to you, I just had knee surgeries and I was on crutches I was actually in bed for 6 weeks. So telling her that I had been out of work for 10 weeks and that I was going to jump into something like this was not an easy conversation.
I was going to invest more of the cash, family cash.
So that wasn't an easy conversation at the time. I think when I had worked for a couple of months and, built up a little bit more, that was an easier conversation. But I think it was mainly just around that, not to do anything with the work. Like, she knows that I've always been a very talkative person and talk to people, and, back at the gym, the kind of connection that I built with the clients was something that I still talk to them now, and we're completely different ages, but just because of that rapport that I built with them, she knows that I'm quite a people person, and that she was really supportive that it's something that it's a career and I can work towards, as we spoke about, those sort of financials later on in life. I think at the time it was a tough conversation and one that I obviously lost, which is, but it was a lot easier.
Got there eventually, and no, it's for good reason. I think when you're starting to explore this sort of stuff, it can take time.
Yep.
But everything works out in the end.
Yeah.
With your footy, you're training a lot for football. How does this all fit in with football, with your hobbies? Has that been flexible? Have you seen flexibility with that?
Yeah, absolutely. The flexibility has been great. Like, I think from the beginning, I made it pretty well known to you guys, and then to obviously potential jobs that would kind of be my first priority, is that I need to be training at these times, and that was my priority. And all of them that I spoke to, even the jobs that I didn't get, they were still happy for that flexibility. I think as long as you're getting the work done, they're happy with whatever hours you can work, as long as you're getting the work done. So just the flexibility in this sort of industry as a whole, I've seen is great. As I said, as long as you're getting the work done, they're awesome. They're good to work around.
looking back now, you were in a position where a lot of people are now. A lot of people in that position where they're exploring this and they're working out, hey, is this going to be for me? What would you say are the traits that of people, or people you've seen on your team? What do you think if people have these traits, that they would be good at this role?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think most people would be able to do a job like this, but the traits that most of the salespeople that I've spoken to have is that they're quite outgoing. They're quite people. They like to talk. That's probably the main attribute, is that you're able to connect with people and have conversations with people, and that you're kind of a bit outgoing. But as I said, I've seen people even within RSI that probably aren't the most people that have kind of turned into it. So it probably sounds bad, but before jumping into this, I was the sort of guy that I love talking face to face, but I'll be like to my missus, can you call the restaurant to say we're going to book in? Like, I hated making phone calls. So as much as I liked, talking to people face to face, I was the guy that would let my missus go up and order the food, or, ring the restaurant to book in. Like, I wasn't huge on the phones. So I think that even if you aren't picture perfect of what a salesperson or someone that works in sales looks like, you're able to have that growth as a person through it and become that sort of person. As long as you're committed and you have that sort of drive to want to do it, the personal growth journey that you'll go through will put you on that path.
So you think it's a pretty learnable skill, and in your case, I'm sure with such a established business, there's a lot of frameworks and guides, and there's a strategy that you follow that you don't have to be a rocket scientist to make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially coming into a business like Toa, huge, worldwide, 9,000 employees. Like, they're not just going to give me the keys to the reign and say, hey, mate, you do what you want. Like, there's pretty set frameworks in place, and as long as you're happy to learn and you can adapt to those frameworks and sort of work around it, it's as you said, it's not rocket science. You just got to kind of take the skills that you learnt with you guys and sort of apply that to whatever framework they've sort of set.
Mate, really important question here. What are the keys to growing a TikTok following? If I need to get myself to 40,000 followers on TikTok, what do I need to be doing?
Oh, depends what you're trying to do, mate. Depends. I reckon just keep going with the content you've been doing lately, mate. I've been loving it. All the salesperson stuff is great. It's really relatable. Relatability, that's the key. And you're nailing on the head.
Broad targeting, make it relatable, make people, I think.
It's not about the amount of followers, it's the quality of followers. That 2,000 followers, quality.
It's super concentrated. Yeah, when I talk about remote high-ticket sales, I get very few views because it's so niched. But the people who watch it, they're probably exploring it. They probably like the content, but we're not going to get as many eyeballs. So it's about quality views versus quantity of views. I think of quality followers versus quantity.
100%.
So the ego, swallowing the ego, don't need 40,000, just need to have a good amount of
high quality
followers. So awesome, man. And any advice for people who are looking to get into this space?
It's probably what every person I reckon that comes on here says, is everyone has that sort of fear, that initial fear. But I think, like we spoke about, my story kind of shows that, if you're looking into it and you're scared and because that's pretty much all I had I was just like, this is not going to work for me. I'm not that sort of person. I couldn't do that. Having all those sorts of doubts and thoughts. Having that choice of either going down the safest route of jumping into a stable job and doing the commute and doing everything and there's no real progression, or jumping into this and taking that leap. And as scary as it is, that's, if you know in yourself that that's the right thing to do, then you should just do it, because you won't regret it. If I could go back to last September and, just done it, I would have done that. But obviously I took that extra 6 months to make the decision. So don't be that person, everyone. If you're thinking about it, don't wait an extra 6 months. Just do it.
And what were the key things you think, that the three keys that you had to learn that sort of closed the gap for you and made it all click?
I think just like the factors that this job provides that couldn't, which was obviously the remote work, doing it from anywhere, and then also just the progression, and also, as I said, the being in control of your earnings. The fact that I was sitting there and I'd be in the office and I could go work really hard today, or I could sit there and nothing. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get paid the same. And I think that was really, personally for me, as someone who's quite competitive, you want to do the most you can, but it's hard when you're earning the same thing every day, regardless of what you do. So the fact that if you work harder, you can earn more. I think that was probably the big key, and that was what kind of got it over the line, is that I just wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I didn't enjoy it, and those sorts of things come into effect of the fulfillment of how fulfilled I felt in the work that I was doing. So yeah, those keys of progression, remote work, and sort of being in control of your earnings was definitely what got me over the line for sure.
Yeah, for me as well. I got into remote closing 2017, so I would have been just over 30. I was over 30, but I used to play football at a definitely not semi-pro, reasonable level. Bit of a weekend warrior, but I love the competitiveness and I love the win or lose. I love the feedback that you got from the training that you did. So if I put the work in and I get out there on the park, I perform in relation to how much work I've done. Yep. And then when I finished football, I didn't have that for a while. And it wasn't until I started closing and remote sales that I felt that again. I felt that competitive fire in me. I felt that, if I don't do the work, I'm going to get my ass kicked.
Yep.
And that's my fault. And I can improve if I go and put the extra training in, if I go and, study my calls, if I go and improve my dialogue, I see a measurable improvement in my results and my income. And that was just something that I'd not experienced since football, where you get that feedback from win or loss, whether you've done the work or not. So I really love that. So I can see why that's something that you're really enjoying as well. That's something that you're resonating with.
There's a lot of things that for athletes and for sales that correlate. There's so much that kind of overlaps. There's so many things that are similar. That competitiveness and that drive and that training equals results. I think that definitely resonates in both, and I think that's why I'm real big on it, and I would assume that a lot of athletes are too.
Mate, we've lost you in the dark.
I know, it's getting dark here, mate. I can throw a light on, but it's getting dark.
That's all right, mate. That's all right, man. Appreciate you hopping on. It's been awesome to hear your story, and so cool that you're able to smash your KPIs in month one. You've had a really comprehensive onboarding, so you've managed to learn I would say complex product, not complicated, but a complex product. You had no background in accounting. You probably had no idea what virtual staffing or done for your staffing was about, and so you've come from a background where you had no idea about this product. You're able to sell it. You're able to do it at a high level. You're earning fantastic money, and it's suiting your lifestyle. Mate, I think your story is so inspiring for people.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. I appreciate it, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. Without that, all that training and sort of getting that experience, it wouldn't have happened. It simply wouldn't have. I tried and it didn't, so it shows.
Well, I appreciate that. And if you are listening to this and you love the content, make sure you subscribe, hit that button. And also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, give us a rating, hopefully 5 stars. It does help the algorithm. And if you're interested in finding out how we can help you get into this space, go to remoteSalesInstitute.com, click a button, either book a call, send us an inquiry, we'll get it, and we will chat to you. And if you don't do any of that, that's totally cool. We'll see you on the next episode.